I've been sitting here a long time tonight. Don't sleep much anymore. Used to think that would come with age, the peace of it, the rest. But it don't work that way. The older I get, the more I'm awake in the dark. And the dark don't feel empty like it used to. It's full now, full of things I can see better than I could see them when they happened. Funny how that works. I'm 81 years old. 81. I say it sometimes just to hear how it sounds. Sometimes I don't believe it. Sometimes I look at my hands and I see my father's hands. And I think, when did that happen? When did I become him? But I didn't become him. That's part of what I've been thinking about. I didn't become him because I didn't do what he did. And maybe that's worse. There's a thing I did, or didn't do. I can't decide which way to say it anymore. Both feel true. It's been with me so long now that it don't even feel like a memory. It feels like part of my body, like my left arm, like the scar on my knee from when I was 12 and fell off Willie Patterson's bike. It's just there, been there, will be there until I'm not. I had a son, still have a son, I guess, somewhere. That's the right way to say it. You don't stop having a son just because you stopped being a father. That's what I tell myself anyway. His name is Marcus. Named him after my grandfather, though I don't think he knows that. Don't know what he knows about me at all, really. He was 7 years old the last time I saw him. 7. He's 43 now. I did the math again last week, sitting here in this same chair, and it hit me the same way it always does. 43. Older than I was when I left. Older than I was when I made the choice that split my life in two. There's the before and the after, and I've been living in the after for 36 years. I don't remember deciding to leave. That's the strangest part. I remember being there, in that apartment on Dayton Street, and then I remember being gone. But the actual moment of walking out, the actual decision, that part is blurry. I've been trying to remember it clearly for decades now, and it won't come. Maybe I don't want it to come. Maybe some part of me knows that if I could see it clearly, if I could see my own face as I close that door, I wouldn't be able to live with it. But I've been living with it anyway. His mother's name was Evelyn. Still is, I suppose. Evelyn Carter. She had a way of looking at you that made you feel like you were the only person in the world. That was her gift. And her curse, too, maybe, because she looked at me that way and I wasn't worth it. I knew that even then. She was 24 when we met. I was 26. We were at a church social. One of those things where everybody's trying to act like they're not looking at each other, but everybody is. She was standing by the punch bowl in a yellow dress, and I remember thinking I'd never seen anyone look like that in my whole life. I wasn't much to look at. Tall, too skinny, worked at the plant doing assembly. My hands were always cut up, always had grease under the nails. But she didn't seem to mind. We talked for an hour that night, just talked. And when I walked her home, she let me hold her hand. We got married 8 months later. Small wedding, her mother's church, maybe 40 people. I wore my father's suit. It was too big in the shoulders, but I didn't care. I felt like I was standing on top of the world that day. I really did. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was ready. Marcus came 2 years after that. I was there when he was born, held Evelyn's hand while she screamed and cried and pushed. The nurses kept telling me I could wait outside. But Evelyn wanted me there. She squeezed my hand so hard I thought she'd break it. And then he came, this little, wet, angry thing, crying at the top of his lungs. They cleaned him up and put him in my arms, and I looked down at his face, all scrunched up and red, and I thought, I have no idea what I'm doing. That's the truth of it. I had no idea. But I tried. I want to be clear about that. For those first years, I tried. I got up in the night when he cried. I changed diapers. I walked him around the apartment at 3 in the morning, bouncing him on my shoulder, singing him the songs my mother used to sing to me. He'd stop crying eventually, settle into me, and I'd feel his little chest going up and down against mine, and I'd think, maybe I can do this. Maybe I'm not as lost as I feel, but I was lost. I was drinking more than I should have been. Started right after he was born, though I told myself it was just to take the edge off, just to help me sleep, just to quiet the noise in my head. Evelyn knew. She didn't say nothing at first, but she knew. I'd come home from the plant and pour myself a glass, then another, then another. She'd put Marcus to bed and sit across from me at the kitchen table, just watching me, and I couldn't meet her eyes. The thing about drinking like that is it don't fix nothing. Everybody knows that, but you think you're different. You think you can control it. You think it's helping. But all it does is push everything down deeper, and sooner or later it comes back up. Comes back up worse. I wasn't mean. I want to say that too. I never hit her, never hit Marcus. But I wasn't there either. Not really. I was sitting right across from them at dinner. But I was somewhere else, somewhere far away. And the more I drank, the farther away I got. Evelyn tried to talk to me about it. I remember one night, Marcus was maybe 4, and she sat down next to me on the couch and took my hand. She said, "Baby, I'm worried about you." Real soft, real gentle. And I pulled my hand away, told her I was fine, told her she was worrying about nothing. And she just sat there, looking at me with those eyes, and I could see I was breaking her heart. But I didn't stop. I think about that night a lot. I think about how different things might have been if I'd just let her hold my hand. If I'd just said, "I'm scared. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be what you need me to be." But I didn't say that. I didn't say nothing. Just got up and went to bed. That's what I've been thinking about tonight. All the things I didn't say. Marcus was a quiet kid. Real quiet. He'd sit in the corner with his toys and play by himself for hours. Didn't need much attention, which was good because I wasn't giving him much. Evelyn was the one who took care of him. Really took care of him. She'd sit on the floor and play with him, build towers out of blocks and knock them down, make him laugh. I'd watch them sometimes from the doorway, and I'd feel this ache in my chest, this wanting to be part of it. But I didn't know how to get from where I was to where they were. So I'd turn around and go pour another drink. He looked like Evelyn, had her eyes, her smile. Sometimes I'd catch him looking at me, and I'd see her in his face, and it made everything harder. Made me feel like I was failing both of them at once. When he was 5, he came up to me one Saturday morning while I was reading the paper, just walked right up and stood there, waiting. I put the paper down and looked at him. He said, "Daddy, can we go to the park?" Real small voice. Like he was afraid I'd say no. I should have said yes. I should have put the paper down and taken his hand and walked with him to the park and pushed him on the swings. I should have done that. but I was hungover and tired, and I didn't want to move. So I said, "Not today, buddy. Maybe tomorrow." Tomorrow never came. He just stood there for a second, looking at me, and then he nodded and walked away, went back to his room, and I picked the paper back up like nothing happened. But something did happen. I can see that now. Every time I said no, every time I said tomorrow, every time I was too tired or too drunk or too lost in my own head, something happened. It built up, and he stopped asking. By the time he was 6, he didn't ask me for nothing anymore, didn't run to me when I came home from work, didn't show me his drawings, didn't tell me about his day. He just sort of moved around me, like I was a piece of furniture. And I let him. I told myself it was fine. Kids go through phases. He'll come back around. But he didn't come back around, because I wasn't giving him nothing to come back to. Evelyn and I stopped talking much around that time. We'd go whole days without saying more than a few words to each other. She'd cook dinner, I'd eat it, we'd put Marcus to bed, and then we'd sit in different rooms until it was time to sleep. Sometimes I'd hear her crying in the bathroom, soft, trying not to let me hear, and I'd sit there on the couch with my drink and pretend I didn't know. I was a coward. That's the word for it. I was too afraid to face what I was doing, too afraid to change, too afraid to ask for help. So I just kept going, kept drinking, kept disappearing, kept letting the days pile up into months, and the months into years. And then I left. I've been trying to understand why for 36 years now. I've been turning it over and over in my mind, looking at it from every angle, trying to find the reason. But I don't think there was a reason. Not a good one anyway. I think I was just tired. Tired of failing. Tired of seeing the disappointment in Evelyn's eyes. Tired of feeling like I was drowning and pulling them down with me. I thought they'd be better off without me. I really did. I thought, what good am I doing here? I'm not being a husband. I'm not being a father. I'm just taking up space and making everybody miserable. So maybe if I leave, they can move on. They can find something better, someone better. That's what I told myself. But I know now that was just another lie I was telling myself to make it easier to do what I wanted to do anyway. Because the truth is, I left because I was selfish. I left because staying was hard and leaving was easier. I left because I couldn't face myself anymore. And I thought if I went somewhere else, became someone else, maybe I could start over. Maybe I could forget. But you don't forget. That's the thing they don't tell you. You carry it with you everywhere you go. Every city, every job, every new start. It's there, in the quiet moments, in the middle of the night, in every kid you see that reminds you of the one you left behind. I moved to Detroit, got a job at a different plant, found a room in a boarding house on the east side, kept my head down, went to work, came home, didn't drink for a while. Thought that would help. Thought if I could just get control of that one thing, maybe I could get control of everything else. But I wasn't drinking to control it. I was drinking to forget it. And when I stopped drinking, there was nothing between me and the memories. So I started drinking again. I've been in Detroit for 36 years now. Got my own place eventually. A small apartment, nothing fancy. 1 bedroom, kitchen, bathroom. I don't need much. I work maintenance now, fixing things in buildings. Toilets, sinks, electrical. I'm good with my hands. Always have been. It's simple work. Honest work. I show up, I do the job, I go home. Nobody asks me questions. Nobody wants to know my story. That's how I like it. But I think about them every day. Every single day. I wonder what Marcus looks like now. I wonder if he's married, if he has kids of his own. I wonder if he thinks about me. I wonder if he hates me. I think about Evelyn too. Wonder if she ever remarried. Hope she did. Hope she found someone who could be what I couldn't be. Someone who could stay. There was a time, maybe 10 years after I left, when I almost went back. I was working a job downtown and I saw a kid who looked just like Marcus. Same age he would have been. Same eyes. And it hit me so hard, I had to sit down. I sat on a bench and watched this kid play in the park with his father, and I thought, that should be me. That should be us. I went to a payphone that night, stood there with a quarter in my hand for 20 minutes. I had the number memorized. Still do. I could call it right now if I wanted to, but I didn't call it then, and I haven't called it since. Because what would I say? Hey, it's me. I know I've been gone for 10 years, but I just wanted to hear your voice. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. What good would that do? What right do I have to come back into their lives after all this time, after all the damage I did? I made my choice. I left. And you don't get to undo that kind of choice. You don't get to walk back in and ask for forgiveness like you just stepped out for cigarettes. So I hung up the phone and walked home. And I've been walking home ever since. I think the hardest part is not knowing if Marcus is okay, not knowing if he understands, or if he even wants to understand, not knowing if he remembers me at all, or if I'm just a ghost in his memory, a shape in the doorway, voice he can't quite place. I hope he don't remember me. Sometimes I really do. I hope Evelyn told him I died, made up some story about an accident at the plant, a funeral he was too young to go to. I hope she gave him something clean to hold on to, instead of the truth. Because the truth is ugly. The truth is, his father was a drunk who couldn't handle being a man and ran away in the middle of the night. That's the truth. I stayed sober for 3 years once. This was maybe 15 years ago. Went to meetings and everything. Sat in church basements with other men like me, listening to them talk about their regrets, their failures, their reasons for drinking. And I'd listen, and I'd think, at least they're trying. At least they're here. At least they didn't run away. But I did run away. That's the difference. And sitting in those meetings, listening to men talk about making amends, about reaching out to the people they hurt, I knew I couldn't do it. I knew I didn't deserve to do it. So I stopped going. And eventually, I started drinking again. It's not as bad now as it was then. I'm not getting drunk every night, falling asleep on the couch, waking up, not remembering how I got there. But I have a drink most nights, just 1 or 2, enough to take the edge off, enough to help me sleep. Or that's what I tell myself. I've been thinking about Evelyn a lot tonight, about the way she used to look at me when we first met. Like I was somebody, like I mattered. And then the way she looked at me at the end, like she was looking at a stranger, like she was trying to find the person she married, and couldn't. I wonder if she ever thinks about me. Probably not. Why would she? I've been gone longer than I was there. I'm just a part of her past now. A mistake she made when she was young. Maybe she tells people she's a widow. Maybe she don't tell people nothing. Maybe she built a whole new life. and I'm not in it at all. That's what I hope for her. But it hurts to think about. There's a couple that lives next door to me. Young couple, maybe 30. They have a little boy, maybe 3 or 4. I hear him sometimes running around, laughing, crying, normal kid sounds, and I hear the father's voice, talking to him, playing with him. And sometimes I have to leave my apartment because I can't stand it. Can't stand hearing what I should have been. I saw the father in the hallway last week. He was carrying the boy on his shoulders, and the boy was laughing, holding on to his father's head. And the father looked up at me and smiled, and I smiled back, and I felt like I was going to be sick. That should have been me and Marcus. That should have been us. But it wasn't. Because I didn't do it. Because I walked away. I think about that moment a lot. The moment I decided to leave. Or the moment the decision made itself. I've been trying to remember it for so long, trying to see it clearly. But it's like looking through fog. I remember packing a bag. I remember it was early morning, before the sun came up. I remember Evelyn was asleep. Marcus was asleep. The apartment was quiet. I remember standing in the doorway of Marcus's room, looking at him in his bed. He was sleeping on his side, one hand under his cheek. He looked so small, so peaceful. And I remember thinking, I can't do this. I can't be what you need. And then I left. Just like that. Walked out the door, down the stairs, got in my car, and drove. Drove until I couldn't drive anymore, until the sun came up, and I was in a different state. Stopped at a diner, had some coffee, kept driving. I didn't leave a note, didn't leave nothing, just gone. I think about what that must have been like for them, waking up, and I'm not there, calling my name and getting no answer, looking for me and finding nothing. I think about Marcus asking where I went. I think about what Evelyn told him. I think about the days and weeks and months that followed, the waiting, the wondering, the slow realization that I wasn't coming back, and I hate myself for it. I do. I hate myself. But hating myself don't change nothing. Don't bring back the time. Don't undo the damage. It just sits there, this hatred, right next to all the other things I carry. The guilt, the shame, the regret, all of it sitting there, heavy like stones in my chest. I don't know why I'm thinking about all this tonight. It's not new. I think about it every night. But tonight, it feels different. Heavier, maybe. Or maybe I'm just more tired. Maybe I'm finally running out of ways to avoid it. I'm 81 years old, and I've been alone for 36 years. I got no wife, no kids that know me, no grandkids. I got this apartment and my job and the people I see at the store. And that's it. That's my life. And I did this. I chose this. Not at the beginning, maybe. But every day since then, I've been choosing it. Every day I don't pick up the phone, I'm choosing it. Every day I don't try to find them, I'm choosing it. Because I'm still afraid. Still afraid of what I'll see in their eyes. Still afraid of the questions I won't be able to answer. Still afraid of having to say out loud what I already know. That I failed them. That I wasn't strong enough. That I took the easy way out and left them to pick up the pieces. And the older I get, the harder it gets to imagine doing anything different. The more time that passes, the wider the gap gets. It's been 36 years. How do you cross 36 years? How do you start that conversation? You don't. That's the answer. You don't. So I sit here instead, in this chair, in this apartment, thinking about it, turning it over, looking for something I must have missed some detail that will make it make sense, some reason that will make it okay. But there's no reason that makes it okay. I abandoned my son. That's what I did. I can dress it up however I want, tell myself whatever story I need to tell myself to get through the day. But that's the truth at the bottom of it all. I had a son and I left him, and he's been out there in the world all these years without me, and I don't know who he became, or what kind of man he is, or if he's happy, or if he's struggling, or if he ever thinks about me at all. And I did that. I made that happen. There was a time when I thought maybe I'd see him by accident. You know, just run into him on the street somewhere. Detroit's not that big. Maybe he moved here. Maybe he's looking for me. Maybe one day I'd turn a corner and there he'd be, and we'd recognize each other, and everything would just happen naturally. But that's a fantasy, a stupid fantasy. He's not looking for me. Why would he be? I'm nothing to him, less than nothing. I'm the man who left, the man who wasn't there. And even if he did want to find me, even if he spent years looking, I changed my name. Not legally, but I go by something different now, different last name. So even if he tried, he wouldn't find me. I made sure of that. God, I'm tired of carrying this, tired of thinking about it, tired of being alone with it. But I got nobody to tell, nobody who wants to hear it. And even if I did, what would I say? What words could possibly hold all of this? I'm sorry. That's all there is, really. I'm sorry. But sorry don't mean nothing without action. Sorry is just a word you say to make yourself feel better. And I don't deserve to feel better. So I sit here instead. I've been sitting here a long time tonight. The thing is, I still love them. That's what keeps me up. I still love them. I love Evelyn, even though I hurt her worse than anybody should ever hurt anybody they love. I love Marcus, even though I don't know him, even though I gave up the right to know him. That love is still there, somewhere in me, buried under all the guilt and shame and regret. And it's the worst kind of love, because it's useless. It don't do them no good. It don't change nothing. It's just there, aching, with nowhere to go. I used to imagine what I'd say to Marcus if I ever got the chance. I'd rehearse it in my head, lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling. I'd say, I know I got no right to be here. I know I don't deserve your time or your forgiveness, but I need you to know that leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life, that not a day goes by that I don't think about you, that I'm sorry, that I love you, that you deserved better than me. But I never said it, and I never will, because I don't have the right. And maybe that's my punishment, not jail, not some official consequence, but this endless thinking, this endless regret, this knowing that I hurt the people I loved most, and there's nothing I can do to fix it. That's the punishment, and I've been serving it for 36 years. I wonder sometimes what my father would say if he could see me now. He died when I was 19, so he never met Evelyn, never met Marcus. But he was a good man, a hard man, but good. Worked 2 jobs to keep us fed, never missed a day, never complained, and he loved us. You could feel it, even when he was too tired to say it. I thought I'd be like him. I thought when I became a father, something would just click, and I'd know what to do. But it didn't click, and I didn't know. And instead of asking for help, instead of trying harder, I gave up. He would be ashamed of me. I know that. And that's another thing I carry. My mother passed when I was 23, couple years before I met Evelyn. Cancer. She went fast, which I suppose was a blessing. But I think about her sometimes too. Think about what she'd say about all this. She was the kindest woman I ever knew. Patient. Understanding. But she had her limits too. She didn't suffer weakness in a man. Not the kind of weakness that hurt other people. She used to tell me, "You can fall down. Everybody falls down. But you get back up. You keep getting back up." And I did for a while. I got back up after she died. Got back up when the plant cut my hours. Got back up when money was tight and Evelyn was pregnant. And we didn't know how we'd make it. But then I stopped getting back up. I just stayed down. And that's what she wouldn't have understood. How you can just stop trying. How you can just give in to it. I had a sister too. Younger than me by 5 years. Her name was Ruth. She died when she was 16, drowned in the river one summer. We were supposed to be watching her, me and my cousin James, but we were off doing something else, being stupid, being boys, and she wandered down to the water by herself. They found her 3 hours later. I never forgave myself for that either. That's another thing I've been carrying all these years. And maybe that's part of why I left Marcus. Maybe I was afraid I'd fail him the way I failed Ruth. Afraid I'd look away for a second and something terrible would happen and it would be my fault. But that's just another excuse, isn't it? Another way of making it about me instead of about what was right. The truth is simpler than all that. The truth was weak, and I was scared, and I didn't know how to be what they needed me to be. And instead of learning, instead of asking for help, instead of staying and fighting through it, I ran. That's the whole story right there. Everything else is just details. I got a neighbor across the hall, old woman, older than me. Her name is Dorothy. She'd been living here longer than I have. 20 years, maybe more. We don't talk much, but sometimes we end up in the hallway at the same time, getting our mail or taking out the trash, and we'll nod at each other. Say hello. She told me once she had a daughter, just mentioned it in passing. Said her daughter lives in California, doesn't visit much. She said it real casual, like it didn't matter. But I could hear something in her voice, something lonely. I wanted to ask her about it, wanted to ask if they were close, if she missed her, if she wished things were different. But I didn't, because I knew if I asked her, she might ask me. And I don't talk about Marcus. Don't talk about Evelyn. Don't talk about any of it. So we just stood there in the hallway, 2 old people with our own regrets, and we smiled and said good night and went into our separate apartments. That's what life is when you get to this age and you're alone. Just a series of polite exchanges with people who don't really know you, people who see your face but don't see inside, and you let them think whatever they want about you because the truth is too complicated, too heavy. I wonder sometimes if Dorothy knows, if she can tell just by looking at me that I'm carrying something, that I did something I can't take back, or if I just look like every other old man, tired, worn down, waiting. There's a picture of Evelyn I kept too, just one. It's from before we got married. She's standing outside her mother's house, wearing that yellow dress from the church social. She's looking at the camera, but she's smiling like she's looking at me, like whoever took the picture was telling her a joke. I took that picture. I remember it. It was a Sunday afternoon. We'd been to church and then to her mother's for dinner. and we were standing outside saying goodbye, and I had my camera with me. Just a cheap camera, nothing special. And I asked if I could take her picture, and she said yes. And when I looked at her through that little viewfinder, I thought, this is the most beautiful person I'll ever see in my whole life. I was right about that. I kept that picture for years, carried it with me when I left, same as the one of Marcus. But I don't look at it anymore either. Can't. It's in the same drawer, right next to his picture. The two of them together. The two people I loved most and hurt most. Sometimes I think about taking them out, looking at them one more time, really looking. But I know if I do, I won't be able to put them back. I'll just sit there with them in my hands, crying, and what good would that do? What would it change? So they stay in the drawer. And I stay out here. And the distance between us stays the same. I've been thinking about something else tonight too. Something I don't usually let myself think about. What if Marcus has been looking for me? What if he spent years trying to find me, and I made it impossible because I changed my name? What if he wanted to ask me why? Wanted to hear it from me? Wanted to understand? And I took that away from him. Took away his chance to confront me, to yell at me, to tell me how much I hurt him. Took away his chance for closure, whatever that means, because I was too much of a coward to face it. That thought makes me feel sicker than anything else. The idea that he might have wanted to find me and couldn't, that he might have needed something from me, even if it was just to tell me he hated me, and I wasn't there for that either. I wasn't there for anything. That's the pattern, isn't it? That's the whole story of my life. Not being there, not showing up, disappearing when things get hard. My hands are shaking. I notice that sometimes, usually late at night when I've been sitting too long, they just start shaking and I can't make them stop. Doctor says it's normal for my age, says it's nothing to worry about, but it makes me think about time, about how much of it is left, about what happens when it runs out. I always thought I'd have more time. Even now, even at 81, some part of me thinks there's still time to fix this, still time to reach out, still time to make it right. But there's not. I know there's not. Even if I picked up the phone tomorrow, even if I somehow found them and told them everything, it wouldn't fix nothing. It wouldn't give Marcus back his childhood, wouldn't give Evelyn back those years she spent alone, raising him by herself, wondering what she did wrong. It wouldn't change what I did. And maybe that's the hardest thing to accept, that some things can't be fixed, can't be undone. You can be sorry for the rest of your life, and it won't matter. The damage is done, the time is gone, and all you can do is live with it. So that's what I do. I live with it. I get up every morning and I go to work and I come home and I sit in this chair and I think about them. And then I go to bed and I don't sleep much. And then I get up and do it again, day after day, year after year. 36 years. That's longer than Marcus lived with me, longer than I was married to Evelyn, longer than most people work at a job. 36 years of carrying this, of being alone with it. You'd think it would get easier. You'd think time would dull it somehow, but it don't. If anything, it gets sharper, because every year that passes is another year I can't get back. Another year of his life I missed. Another birthday, another Christmas, another milestone I wasn't there for. Did he graduate high school? Did he go to college? Did he have his heart broken? Did he fall in love? Did he get married? I don't know. I'll never know. And whose fault is that? Mine. All mine. There's a bar down the street from here. I used to go there sometimes, back when I first moved to Detroit, before I got sober that first time. I'd sit at the end of the bar and drink whiskey and watch the TV and not talk to nobody. And sometimes I'd see families come in, fathers with their sons, and I'd watch them, and I'd think about Marcus. I'd think about what he was doing right then. If he was eating dinner, if he was doing homework, if he was playing, if he was asking Evelyn where I went, if he even remembered me, and I'd order another drink. I don't go to that bar anymore, haven't in years, but I walk past it sometimes and I see men in there through the window, and I wonder if any of them are carrying what I'm carrying, if any of them left somebody behind, if any of them are sitting there trying to forget. Probably some of them are. We're all carrying something, but most people don't carry this. Most people don't abandon their families. Most people stay, even when it's hard, even when they're scared, even when they don't know what they're doing. Most people stay. I didn't. I remember the last thing Marcus said to me. It was the night before I left. He came up to me after dinner while Evelyn was washing dishes. He had a book in his hands, one of those picture books for kids, and he held it up to me and said, "Daddy, will you read to me?" And I was tired, and I'd been drinking, and I just wanted to sit there and not think about anything. So I said, "Not tonight, buddy. I'm too tired." And he said, "Okay," real quiet, and walked away. That was it. That was the last thing. Not "I love you," not "good night," not anything meaningful or memorable. Just me telling him no one more time. Me being too tired. Me choosing myself over him. Again. I didn't know it was the last time. Didn't know that the next morning I'd be gone and I'd never see him again. But would it have made a difference if I'd known? Would I have read him that book? Would I have held him and told him I loved him and tried to remember the moment? I want to think I would have, but I don't know. I really don't. Because if I'd known it was the last time, maybe I wouldn't have left. Maybe I would have stayed. Maybe knowing it was the last time would have been enough to make me fight through all the fear and the shame and the drinking and just stay. But I didn't know, and I left. And that was the last thing. Me saying no. Me being too tired. That's what he probably remembers, if he remembers me at all. His father always being too tired. Always saying no. Always somewhere else. God, I hope he don't remember me. I hope Evelyn found a good man who stepped in and became his father for real, who read him books and took him to the park and taught him how to throw a ball and how to tie a tie and how to be a man. I hope Marcus had that. I hope he had someone, because he sure as hell didn't have me. The clock on the wall says it's almost 4 in the morning. I've been sitting here for hours now. My back hurts. My legs are stiff. But I don't want to move. Don't want to go to bed and lie there staring at the ceiling, thinking the same thoughts in a different room. At least here I can look out the window, see the street, see the lights in other apartments, remind myself that other people are out there, living their lives, most of them probably sleeping peacefully because they don't got what I got weighing on them. Most of them probably did right by their families. Most of them probably stayed. I think about writing a letter sometimes, a real letter, not like the one I wrote years ago and put in that box, a letter to Marcus telling him everything, telling him why I left, or trying to anyway, telling him I'm sorry, telling him I think about him every day, telling him I love him. But what's the point? What would it accomplish besides making me feel better? And I don't deserve to feel better. That's the thing I keep coming back to. I don't deserve peace. I don't deserve closure. I don't deserve forgiveness. I deserve to sit here in this chair at 4 a.m. with my regrets. That's what I deserve. So that's what I do. But sometimes I wonder if it's selfish the other way too. If staying away is its own kind of selfishness. If I'm protecting myself from the confrontation, from having to face what I did and calling it noble, telling myself I'm staying away for their sake, when really it's for mine. I don't know. I go back and forth on it. Some days I think reaching out would be selfish. Other days I think not reaching out is selfish. Maybe it's both. Maybe everything I do is selfish because I'm selfish at my core. That's probably closer to the truth. A selfish man who did a selfish thing and keeps doing selfish things by staying away and feeling sorry for himself instead of trying to make it right. But how do you make it right? How do you give back 36 years? You can't. That's the answer. You can't. So what's left? What do you do when you can't fix it, and you can't forget it, and you can't forgive yourself? You just sit with it. That's all. You just sit with it until you can't anymore. I've been thinking about my grandfather tonight too, the one Marcus is named after. He died when I was 8, but I remember him. He was a strong man, worked on the railroad his whole life, had big hands, scarred and calloused, but gentle. He used to let me sit on his lap, and he'd tell me stories about the places he'd been, the things he'd seen. He told me once that a man's word was the most important thing he had, that if you said you were going to do something, you did it, that people had to be able to count on you. I think about that a lot, about how I broke my word, how I promised to love and protect Evelyn and Marcus, and I didn't, how I let them down in the worst way possible. What would he think of me? What would he say if he knew I named my son after him and then abandoned that son? He'd be ashamed, just like my father would be ashamed, just like I'm ashamed. But shame don't fix nothing either. Shame is just another feeling, another weight to carry. It don't make amends, don't heal wounds, don't bring back time. It just sits there, like everything else. I remember when Marcus took his first steps. He was about 10 months old. Evelyn and I were in the living room, and he was standing by the couch, holding on. And then he just let go, took 3 wobbly steps toward me before he fell down. And Evelyn screamed and clapped, and I picked him up and held him over my head, and he was laughing. That's one of my good memories, one of the ones I hold on to when the bad ones get too heavy. We were happy that day, all of us. We were a family. But that didn't last. Or maybe it did last, and I'm the one who ended it. Yeah, that's more accurate. It could have lasted. Other families make it through hard times. Other men figure out how to be fathers even when they're scared, even when they're struggling, even when they don't know what they're doing. But I didn't. I gave up. And I can blame the drinking, or the fear, or my own father dying too young, or Ruth drowning, or whatever else I want to blame. But at the end of the day, it was me. I'm the one who made the choice. I'm the one who walked out that door. Nobody forced me. Nobody made me. I did it all by myself, and I've been paying for it ever since. But the thing is, me paying for it don't help them none. Me sitting here feeling bad don't give Marcus back his father. Don't give Evelyn back her husband. It's just me suffering. And maybe I deserve to suffer, but that don't make it right. That don't make it useful. It's just suffering for suffering's sake. And maybe that's all there is to it. Maybe there's no redemption waiting at the end of this. No lesson learned, no wisdom gained. Just an old man sitting in a chair in the dark, thinking about all the ways he failed, until one day he stops thinking altogether. Maybe that's all I got coming. And maybe that's fair. I think about the other kids on our street sometimes. The ones Marcus used to play with. There was a boy named Deshaun who lived 2 buildings down. He and Marcus were the same age, used to play together in the courtyard, building things out of sticks and dirt, making up games. Kid stuff. I wonder if Deshaun remembers Marcus. I wonder if they stayed friends, if Deshaun's father is still around, if he did what I couldn't do. Probably did. Most fathers do. I wasn't special in my failure, wasn't unique. There's lots of men who leave, lots of men who can't handle it, but that don't make it better. If anything, it makes it worse, because it means I didn't even fail in an interesting way. I failed in the most common, boring, predictable way possible. I was a cliché. Still am. The old man with regrets, the absent father, the one who got away. That's me. That's all I am now. I used to have other things. Used to be good at my job. Used to be able to fix anything you put in front of me. Used to be able to make people laugh. Evelyn used to laugh at my jokes, back when I still made them, back when I still tried. But I don't try anymore. Haven't for a long time. I just exist, just move through the days, doing what needs to be done, and then coming back here to sit and think about what I lost. That's not a life. That's just waiting to die. But I don't know how to do anything else anymore. I've been doing this for so long, it's all I know. The routine of it, the safety of it, the numbness. And change feels impossible now. Feels like something other people do. Younger people, people who still got time. I don't got time. Not really. I'm 81. Could be 82. Could be 90. Could be tomorrow. You don't know at this age. Every day is borrowed. And what am I doing with these borrowed days? Sitting here, thinking about the past, wishing I could change it. What a waste. But I can't seem to stop. Can't seem to think about anything else. It's like my mind is stuck on a loop, playing the same scenes over and over. Marcus asking me to go to the park. Marcus asking me to read him a book. Marcus looking at me with those eyes that look just like his mother's. Evelyn crying in the bathroom. Me pouring another drink. Me walking out the door. Over and over and over. And maybe that's my punishment too. Not just the loneliness, but the repetition, the endless loop of it. Never getting to think about nothing else. Never getting to move on. Just stuck here, reliving it forever. There's a park about 6 blocks from here. I walk through it sometimes on my way to the store. There's a playground there with swings and slides and monkey bars. And there's always kids there, playing, screaming and laughing and running around. And there's always fathers there too, watching them, helping them, pushing them on the swings. I can't go there anymore, can't walk through that park, because every time I do, I see Marcus. See him at 5, at 6, at 7. See him running and laughing and calling for me to watch him. Watch him, Daddy. Watch what I can do. And I have to turn around and take a different route. Because I can't watch. Can't stand there and look at what I threw away, at what I could have had if I'd just been stronger, just been better. So I avoid it. Add it to the list of places I can't go, things I can't see, thoughts I can't think. The list keeps getting longer. Pretty soon, there won't be nowhere I can go without seeing them, without being reminded. And maybe that's how it should be. Maybe I shouldn't get to have any peace, any moment where I'm not thinking about what I did. Maybe that's the least I deserve. I wonder what Evelyn's voice sounds like now. If it changed, got deeper maybe, raspier. Or maybe it's the same. Maybe she sounds exactly like she did 36 years ago, and if I heard it, I'd recognize it immediately. But I won't hear it, because I'm not gonna call. I'm not gonna reach out. I'm not gonna do nothing, except sit here and wonder. That's what I do. I wonder. I wonder about everything. About Marcus's life. About whether he's happy. About whether he has kids. About whether he ever talks about me. About whether he knows I'm alive or thinks I'm dead. I wonder about Evelyn's life. About whether she remarried. About whether she's happy. About whether she thinks about me late at night the way I think about her. Probably not. Probably she moved on years ago. Probably she's living a full life with people who love her and don't let her down. People who stay. That's what I hope anyway. But hoping for their happiness and actually doing something to make them happy are two different things. And I only ever did one of those things. The easy one. The one that don't cost me nothing. The hard thing would be facing them, apologizing, letting them yell at me or cry or tell me how much I hurt them, letting them see me, really see me. But I'm too much of a coward for that. Always have been. Always will be. There's a man who works at the store I go to, older black man like me, maybe 75, works the register, always friendly, always asks how I'm doing, and I always say fine, and he always says that's good, and that's the whole conversation. But one time, maybe a year ago, he said something different. He said, "You got family around here?" And I froze, didn't know what to say. Finally, I just shook my head and said no. And he nodded and said, "Me neither. It's just me these days." And I wanted to ask him about it. Wanted to know if he was alone by choice or by circumstance. If he had regrets. If he thought about it late at night. If he carried something heavy too. But I didn't ask. Just paid for my groceries and left. And I regretted it as soon as I walked out the door, because maybe he would have understood. Maybe he could have been someone to talk to, someone who knew. But I blew it, like I blow everything. And now when I see him, we're back to the same routine. "How you doing?" "Fine, that's good." And the moment is gone. The chance is gone. Like all my chances are gone. I had a dream about Marcus once. This was maybe 5 years ago. In the dream, he was still 7 years old, but I was the age I am now. And we were at a park, and he was on the swings, and he wanted me to push him. And I did. I pushed him, and he was laughing, and I was laughing, and everything was okay. And then I woke up, and for about 5 seconds, I forgot that I left, forgot that he was gone, forgot all of it. And then I remembered, and it hit me all over again, like it just happened, like I just walked out that door yesterday, and I laid there in bed and cried, really cried, the kind of crying where you can't breathe, and your whole body shakes. I don't cry much anymore, don't let myself, because if I start, I'm afraid I won't stop. But that morning, I couldn't help it. I cried for an hour, maybe more, until I didn't have nothing left, until I was just empty. And then I got up and went to work. Because what else was I gonna do? Can't stay in bed forever. Can't just give up completely. Even though part of me wants to. Part of me has wanted to for a long time. But I keep going, keep getting up, keep going through the motions. I don't know why. Habit, maybe. Or maybe some small part of me still thinks there's a reason to keep going. Still thinks something might change. But nothing changes. Nothing ever changes. The sky's starting to lighten up a little now. Still dark, but not as dark. That in-between time. Not night anymore, but not quite morning either. I used to like this time of day. When I was young, before everything. I'd get up early sometimes and just sit and watch the sun come up. Felt peaceful. Felt like anything was possible. Now it just feels like another day starting. Another day to get through. Another day of being alone with my thoughts. Another day of carrying this. I think about the apartment on Dayton Street sometimes. Wonder if it's still there. Wonder if someone else is living in it now. Some other family. Some other father tucking his son into bed at night. Some other couple sitting at the kitchen table talking about their day. Living the life I should have lived. I could go back there, I guess. Could drive down and see it. See if it looks the same. See if the memories feel different when I'm standing in front of the actual place. But I won't. Because what's the point? The apartment ain't the problem. The place ain't what I lost. I lost people. I lost time. I lost myself. And you can't get none of that back by looking at a building. So I stay here, in Detroit, in this apartment, in this chair, where I belong, which is nowhere really, nowhere that matters, nowhere anybody's waiting for me, or thinking about me, or missing me. Just here, alone, like I deserve to be. I've been thinking about what I'd tell Marcus if I could, not in a letter, not on the phone, but if he was sitting right here, right now, across from me, if I had to look him in the eye and explain, what would I say? I'd tell him I was scared. That's the first thing. I was so scared I couldn't think straight. Scared I wasn't good enough. Scared I'd fail him. Scared I'd hurt him just by being around him. And then I'd tell him that being scared ain't an excuse, that lots of men are scared, and they stay anyway. They fight through it. They ask for help. They do better. But I didn't. I ran. And I'd tell him I think about him every day, that there ain't a moment that goes by when he's not somewhere in my mind, that even though I don't know him, I love him, always have, always will. And I'd tell him I understand if he hates me. I'd tell him he's got every right to, that I don't expect nothing from him, not forgiveness, not understanding, not nothing. I just want him to know that I know what I did, that I ain't over here pretending it was okay or making excuses, that I know I failed him, that I know I broke something that can't be fixed, and then I'd tell him I'm sorry. I'd say it over and over until the words ran out, until there was nothing left to say. But that conversation ain't never gonna happen, because I'm here and he's wherever he is, and there's 36 years between us, and that gap is too wide to cross. So instead, I just sit here and imagine it. Imagine saying the things I need to say to someone who ain't here to hear them. That's all I got. Imaginary conversations with my son. Imaginary apologies that don't mean nothing, because nobody's listening. It's pathetic, really. When you step back and look at it, an old man talking to ghosts, rehearsing speeches that'll never be given, carrying guilt that don't help nobody. But I can't stop, can't let it go, can't move on. Because if I let it go, if I move on, then what? Then who am I? What's left of me? This guilt is all I got now. It's the only thing connecting me to them, the only proof that I was ever part of their lives. If I let it go, they're gone completely. And I can't handle that. So I hold on to it. Hold on to the pain. Hold on to the regret. Because it's all I got left. The light's getting stronger now. I can see more of the street, see the buildings across the way, see the world waking up. And I'm still here, still sitting, still thinking, still alone. I should get up, should make some coffee, should take a shower, should get ready for work. But not yet, not just yet. I want to sit here a little longer, in the quiet, in the almost morning, before the day really starts, and I have to pretend again. Pretend I'm okay. Pretend I'm just a normal old man with a normal life, before I have to put on the mask. Right now, in this moment, I can just be what I am. A man who failed, a man who ran away, a man who's been paying for it ever since. Right now I don't have to pretend. And there's something almost peaceful about that, about not having to hide it, even if it's just from myself, even if it's just for a few more minutes. So I'll sit here just a little longer, and I'll think about them, about Evelyn in her yellow dress, about Marcus on the swings, about the life we could have had, should have had, would have had if I'd been stronger, better, different. But I wasn't. And so here I am, 81 years old, alone, thinking about all the ways I failed, thinking about all the things I didn't say, all the moments I missed, all the years I can't get back, thinking about them, always thinking about them, and wondering if they ever think about me. Probably not. Why would they? I'm nothing to them now, just a ghost, a memory that's probably faded by now, if it was ever there at all. And maybe that's how it should be. Maybe they're better off forgetting, better off moving on, better off without me in their heads the way they're always in mine. Yeah, that's probably better. For them, anyway. Not for me. But I don't matter anymore. Never really did. The sun's coming up now. I can see it starting to touch the tops of the buildings, orange and pink spreading across the sky. Another day of this, another day of getting up and going through the motions and coming back here to sit and think. Another day of being alone, another day of carrying this weight, another day of missing them. God help me. Another day.